Hi friends, I welcome you all for this session.
Today we are going to see the systematic evaluation of fetal venous system. Now the following are the main fetal venous structures that we assess during routine cardiac evaluation. A clear understanding of them will greatly improve your confidence and accuracy. So I have chosen this topic to simplify the concepts and provide you a clear outline so that by the end of the session you will feel more confident in examining the fetal venous system. Now let us start with the umbilical vein, which is a single large vein carrying well oxygenated blood from the placenta towards the fetus. Under normal conditions, about two-thirds of umbilical venous blood flow enters the liver. This accounts for nearly 70% of the total hepatic blood flow. The remaining one-third is diverted through Ductus venosus, which bypasses the liver and serves as a crucial vessel for assessing the fetal well-being. And through this ductus venosus, the relatively well oxygenated blood is preferentially directed across foramen ovale into the left atrium, ensuring optimal oxygen delivery to brain and heart. The 70% of the blood flow from the umbilical veins enter the portal veins to supply the liver. All of this then drains into IVC, which is the main venous return from the lower part of the body to the right atrium. Within the liver, we also have hepatic veins which collect blood from the liver parenchyma and empty into IVC close to the right atrium. Now coming to the cardiac side, the coronary sinus drains venous blood from the myocardium and delivers it into the right atrium. Coming to pulmonary veins, they carry oxygenated blood from the lungs to the left atrium. Remember, there are only two veins in our body that carry oxygenated blood. One is umbilical vein in the fetus and the other one is the pulmonary veins. The azygous vein drains the venous blood from the thorax and empties into superior vena cava. Now coming to the brachiocephalic veins, they are formed on each side by the union of internal jugular and subclavian veins. The left brachiocephalic vein crosses the midline to join the right brachiocephalic vein, and together they form the superior vena cava. Now we will see the details of all these veins in the upcoming slides. Now let us begin with the ideal transverse view of the fetal abdomen. This plane is important for two reasons. It serves as our primary landmark for orienting the venous system, and it is the section that we are already familiar with, as it is the standard plane used for measuring the abdominal circumference. A perfect transverse view of fetal abdomen requires following anatomical landmarks. To begin with, we have labeled right and left side and the spine. To ascertain situs in a simpler and easier way, we have posted a separate video. Now the first criteria is complete fetal rib is imaged along each side of the two lateral abdominal walls. Fetal stomach is located on the left side of the abdomen. The descending aorta is imaged posterior and close to the spine and slightly to the left side from the midline. The IVC is situated more anterior and to the right from the midline. Finally, we see what is commonly referred to as C-curve of the umbilical vein, which actually represents the portal sinus. We will discuss its details in the upcoming slides. This is a very important slide, as this slide forms the basic foundation for understanding of normal umbilico-portal venous system. So making this clear will help you in understanding the normal variants and also the abnormalities in the system. The intra-abdominal umbilical vein ascends along the left side of the fetal abdomen and connects to the sagittal portion of the left portal vein. The left portal vein gives rise to three main branches. On the left side, you can see left portal vein superior branch and left portal vein inferior branch, whereas on the right side you see left portal vein medial branch, and these are clearly labeled in the picture as LPVS, LPVI and LPVM respectively. These branches supply second, third and fourth segments of the liver. After this, the left portal vein turns almost 90 degrees to the right and joins the right portal vein, forming the L-shaped portal sinus. The portal sinus, which is highlighted here in green color, is the part of umbilico-portal system between the inferior branch of left portal vein to the beginning of the right portal vein. Beginning of the right portal vein is the place where main portal vein bifurcates into right and left portal vein. It is labeled as MPV in the slide. Outside the liver, superior mesenteric vein and splenic vein unite to form the main portal vein. The main portal vein then bifurcates into left and right portal vein. The right portal vein further divides into anterior right portal vein and posterior right portal vein branches, which supplies 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th segments of the liver. The umbilico-portal venous system is best seen in a higher transverse or slightly oblique upper abdominal plane where left portal vein runs horizontally. But imaging of main portal vein requires a lower and more caudal plane because main portal vein lies inferior to the portal sinus as shown in the second figure. For visualizing the main portal vein, the two reference articles cited here describe different anatomical landmarks. In the first group by Acheron et al., the main portal vein is identified using hepatic artery as the key landmark, as hepatic artery runs in close proximity to main portal vein and helps to define its course. In contrast, the second group describes main portal vein in relation to renal artery level, where the convergence of superior mesenteric vein and splenic vein forms the main portal vein near the renal vein drainage plane. Regardless of the chosen landmark, understanding these reference planes is essential for consistently locating and evaluating the main portal vein in the fetal abdomen. This slide is the comparison of flow in umbilico-portal venous system in the antenatal period and in the postnatal period. In the fetal life, oxygenated blood from the umbilical vein drains into the left portal vein. From here, approximately 1/3 is diverted through Ductus venosus towards the IVC, while the remaining 2/3 perfuses the liver via left and right portal vein branches. The main portal vein also contributes to the circulation by joining at the bifurcation of the right and left portal vein. The postnatal period, once the placental circulation ceases, the umbilical vein undergoes fibrosis to become the ligamentum teres, whereas the ductus venosus becomes ligamentum venosum. The main portal vein then functions exclusively as a portal inflow to the liver, bifurcating into right and left portal veins to supply the hepatic parenchyma. One of the important points to appreciate here is the direction of the venous flow, as indicated by the arrows, is completely reversed in postnatal life when compared to the fetal life. This reflects the transition from placenta-dependent circulation to autonomous hepatic portal perfusion after birth. There are three hepatic veins: left, middle and right hepatic veins. They carry hepatic venous blood into the subdiaphragmatic vestibulum of the IVC. The subdiaphragmatic vestibulum is marked by arrows in the picture. Typically, left hepatic vein and the middle hepatic vein, they will combine together to share a common trunk before entering into the vestibulum. Now that we have reviewed the complete anatomy of umbilico-portal venous system, the next step is to include this knowledge into a reproducible scanning protocol. A systematic approach will ensure that none of these key venous structures are overlooked. Yagel et al. Had proposed a three-plane systematic evaluation of fetal abdominal precordial veins. But in my practice, however, the very first and most logical starting point is the standard transverse abdominal plane used for measurement of abdominal circumference, which we discussed as the first slide. This abdominal circumference plane gives us the foundational orientation and initial view of the umbilico-portal venous confluence. Now moving on to Yagel's systematic planes. Plane A is the lateral transverse plane of the fetal abdomen, swept from right to left at the level of the portal sinus. In this view, the splenic artery and vein serve as consistent anatomical landmark, especially the splenic vein. This plane allows for visualization of the main portal vein and the left and right anterior and right posterior portal vein branches. Coming to the plane B, it is anteroposterior, again transverse plane, but it is through the upper abdomen, demonstrating classical trident sign of the hepatic veins. So this is the optimal plane for visualizing the three hepatic veins as they converge towards the subdiaphragmatic vestibulum. Coming to the plane C, which is a longitudinal or sagittal plane, capturing the drainage of umbilical vein and ductus venosus and the hepatic vein drainage into the subdiaphragmatic vestibulum of the IVC. And the ductus venosus is best visualized in the sagittal plane, and hence this plane is one of the important planes for pulse wave Doppler assessment also. The author Yagel has also marked the recommended Doppler sampling gates in yellow, which are all the ideal sites for the pulse wave Doppler interrogation. From this slide, we are moving on to anatomical variants of umbilico-portal venous system in the fetus. What do we mean by anatomical variants? Any difference in the number, shape or position of this venous system that deviates from the usual normal anatomical pattern, but it does not cause any physiological disturbance, is classified as anatomic variant. Let's start with hepatic vein variants, which are relatively easy to understand. In the first image on the left, you can appreciate typical arrangement of the hepatic veins, where you can notice that the middle hepatic vein and the left hepatic vein are joining together to form a common trunk before entering into the IVC. As discussed earlier, this pattern where left hepatic vein and the middle hepatic vein unite is actually considered the most common and normal anatomical configuration of the fetal hepatic venous system. In the picture labeled as 1, we can see right hepatic vein draining independently, and the left and middle hepatic vein are separate and they are not united, and therefore they drain independently to the IVC. So all three hepatic veins drain independently without any union between them before joining the IVC. Now we are moving to numerical variants. In the picture labeled as 2, we can see one right hepatic vein, one middle hepatic vein, whereas the left hepatic veins, you are seeing two left hepatic veins. So this is one of the anatomical variation. Now moving on to picture 3, which is also a numerical hepatic vein variant, where you can see one left hepatic vein and one right hepatic vein, whereas the middle hepatic veins you have two hepatic veins. Now we are moving to variants of branches of left portal vein. In the picture on the left side, you can see the normal left portal vein branches like superior branch and inferior branch on the left side and medial branch on the right side. In the image labeled as 1, you can see a variant where left portal vein inferior and superior share a common trunk before dividing. In the picture labeled 2, instead of seeing two branches on the left side, we are seeing only one branch. This is one of the anatomical variant. Picture 3 also shows numerical variation in the portal vein branches on the left side. So instead of seeing two branch veins on the left side, we are seeing 3 here, whereas the branch on the right side from the left portal vein is also absent. This is another variation. Now let us move on to the main portal vein variants. The branching pattern of main portal vein has been classified into 3 major types. Type 1 is the most common pattern, seen in nearly 68% of the fetuses, and this classic T-shape and end-to-side anastomosis. The main portal vein joins the portal sinus to give left portal vein on the left side and the right portal vein on the right side. The right portal vein further divides into anterior right portal vein and posterior right portal vein. Take time to go through the ultrasound image and the line diagrams. You will understand it better. Now let's look into the remaining 2 variants of main portal vein. In type 2, which is seen in about 12% of the fetus, the main portal vein appears to form a X-shaped or trifurcated configuration. The left portal vein, the anterior right portal vein and the posterior right portal vein all originate at the same level. Therefore, this creates a side-to-side anastomosis and all 3 branches seem to diverge from a single point of main portal vein. The type 3 anastomosis is seen in around 15% of the cases. In this type, the main portal vein gives rise to a posterior right portal vein and also a single common trunk. This trunk further divides into anterior right portal vein and the left portal vein. This gives a parallel or H-shaped appearance where branching occurs at 2 levels. Here I have shown 4 different images that include mixture of normal variants as well as abnormalities. Although I have not discussed about abnormal patterns in this video, for the purpose of the slide it is sufficient if you can simply identify what are all the portal vein branches that is seen and what is not seen in each image. The first image, you can see trifurcation of main portal vein where the portal sinus, right anterior portal vein and right posterior portal vein all seem to arise from the single point of main portal vein. In the second image, you can see the umbilical vein draining into the left portal vein. From this point, we can identify only two branches, one inferior branch and the other one is the medial branch of the left portal vein. There is just a single branch seen on the left side and another branch seen on the right side. Ductus venosus is visualized arising from the portal sinus and growing straight towards the inferior vena cava. Notably, the right portal vein is not visualized in this image, and even characteristics C curve of the left portal vein is absent. So only a small segment of left portal vein is seen here. In the image 3, umbilical vein is seen draining into the left portal vein. However, there is only one branch seen on the left side. The ductus venosus is not clearly visualized, and the typical appearance of the C curve of left portal vein and the right portal vein is completely absent. In the fourth image down, we can see the umbilical vein draining into the portal vein with one branch identified on the left side and another branch on the right side. However, the complete portal sinus and right portal vein are not imaged. There is also a vessel resembling ductus venosus draining into IVC. However, the normal course of ductus venosus can be reassured only in the mid-sagittal view. If you were able to identify the variation in the branching pattern of the portal vein, then the objective of this video is already achieved. Recognition of these normal variants is the foundation for confidently detecting any deviation from the normal. In the upcoming part of the series, we will focus on the abnormal patterns of umbilico-portal venous system also, how to diagnose them and how to classify them correctly.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe and share to your friends.